All right, for our last crossing, building up to tomorrow's much-anticipated impeachment committee judgment, let's cross back to our colleague Oliver Dickson, who will be in conversation with African Transformation Movement Parliamentary leader, that's Vuyo Zungula. And Oliver, I can only imagine how cold it is outside there for you. But as Tula says here in studio, you are Randfontein's finest, so you can cope with any weather system that is around the country. So perhaps we go to tomorrow, right? Because you're standing by with ATM, and this is a political party that has been fiercely opposing the president's move, not only from outside, but also being a party in the court as well.
Yeah, no, certainly. ATM is a respondent in the interim interdict application. And of course, they're also opposing the president's review application, which will be heard in the review court in early September. Vuyo Zungula joins us now here, and he represents the party in Parliament. Vuyo, the effect of if the president were to find favor in court tomorrow, that is to say, if the president were to be granted the interim interdict, the effect of it would be that it would delay the work of the impeachment committee by a month and some change, because the review panel, or at least the review hearing, is being heard in early September in the review court. A month and a half doesn't seem like that much of a delay in time. Why are you still opposing it?
Firstly, he's not going to find any favor tomorrow. There's no way the court will contradict itself, because in the previous cases whereby the former public protector wanted to interdict Parliament from doing their work, the courts were very clear. Secondly, this order that gave rise to the impeachment committee came from the highest court in the land. There's no way a lower court can overturn an instruction that came from the highest court in the land. But the most important principle here, it is the issue of principle, because this is not about delaying for 1 or 2 months. The principle that we must hold is that if the highest court in the land says there must be this particular process, and which is enshrined in the Constitution, because the Section 89 process, it is one of those processes that are informed by the Constitution. No one must seek to stop Parliament or delay Parliament from doing its work.
But the Constitutional Court, in its judgment, does make room for the potential for the president to take the panel report, the Section 89 panel report, on review. It explicitly says this order stands if and until a review court sets it aside, right? And so the Constitutional Court imagined a situation where the president might want to, and that's also because the president did seek to review it in the Constitutional Court. They dismissed it on grounds of jurisdiction at the time, and of course they then said he must seek a lower court's entertainment of this. So surely the Constitutional Court itself imagined that a lower court might have to entertain this.
Only entertain the review, not an interdict. There's a review of the report is one separate issue. Interdicting or stopping Parliament from doing its work is a separate issue. And if the president was so convinced that that report was flawed and that report was not legally permissible, he would have challenged that report as early as by the time in which that report was processed, not wait up until now the report has got...
Oh, but he did do that.
But remember, he went to the Constitutional Court. He was dismissed that he must go to the lower court. He did not do so. Since 2023 up until now, he's been happy with such an existence of a report. The only reason why he's going to court now, it is not to clear his name. It is not to protect his reputation, but it is to stop the consequence of now having an inquiry that will seek to get all of the answers or the truth regarding Palapal.
So, and again, one of the arguments the president made in court last week to your argument that this is a self-imposed urgency was the president's legal representatives, and reflected in his affidavit, is that we did seek to review it in the Constitutional Court. We were dismissed on the grounds that we didn't have direct access, and or at the time the court said it had no jurisdiction. By the time the Constitutional Court handed down its judgment, very shortly thereafter, Parliament had voted to not adopt the report. That is to say, it became null and void at that time. It is only when the Constitutional Court passed down its judgment that it became live again. And so between May and now, the president says he's then had the opportunity to take it on review again, and concomitant to that, seek an interim interdict to that. So it's not as though the president just sat and said, I'm not going to take this on review.
Look, there's two issues. The issue of him waiting for over 3 years even though there was no action being taken in Parliament. But that report should have been binding to him as a person who has been claiming that he's a person of moral authority, is a person that always acts in line with the law, because a report that is penned by a reputable former Chief Justice saying that there's serious grounds that he may have seriously violated the Constitution and violated the laws. He did not find any issue. The only reason why he's acting now is that now there's going to be progress in terms of that report being processed. That is the first issue. The second issue, the argument he made on the agency, we're saying that the Constitutional Court gave the ruling on the 8th of May. He waited from the 8th of May up until mid-June for him to actually approach the courts. That is why this case was only heard a few weeks ago, simply because he waited up until Parliament decided how to have the impeachment committee, how that impeachment committee had started discussing about the terms of reference, the evidence leaders. Only then he acted. So that was the part on the agency.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to leave with the amount of time. Vuyo Zungula, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Vuyo Zungula is the ATM's representative in Parliament, and of course they are the respondents in that matter. Judgment being handed down in the Western Cape High Court tomorrow at 10 a.m. The members of the impeachment committee will also be submitting their final contributions to the draft, or at least to what will become the final terms of reference of the committee. And next week when they meet, they will then finalize on the appointment of an evidence leader for the impeachment committee.
All right, Oliver, thank you so much for that. I suppose it sets the scene for what's likely to be, the pre and the post reaction to what will be quite an important judgment tomorrow. Of course, we're looking forward to the review, which will be heard in full in September. But tomorrow, I suppose it kind of gives us an indication as to whether or not Parliament's processes do continue at this stage or not. But appreciate your time, Oliver Dickson, there, our colleague, who will be reporting throughout even the course of tomorrow.